Meet John, an everyday man who, like many others, found himself struggling with credit card debt. John's journey is one of perseverance, learning, and ultimately triumph over his financial challenges. As we follow John's story, you'll discover practical strategies and tactics that can help anyone manage and reduce credit card debt, just as John did. Chapter 1. The start of John's debt. John had always been a responsible person, but life has a way of throwing curveballs. After graduating from college, John landed a decent job and decided to get his first credit card. At first, he used it sparingly, paying off the balance in full each month. But as time went on, John started to rely more on his credit card, especially when unexpected expenses came up. One day, John's car broke down. The repair bill was more than he had in savings, so he put it on his credit card. Then came the medical bills from a minor surgery he hadn't planned for. Before he knew it, John was carrying a balance on his credit card each month, and the interest was starting to pile up. Chapter 2. A wake-up call. One evening, as John was sorting through his mail, he noticed something unsettling. His credit card statement showed a balance much higher than he remembered. The interest charges were adding up, and the minimum payment was barely making a dent in his debt. John sat down at his kitchen table, took out a pen and paper, and began listing all his credit card balances, interest rates, and minimum payments. The total amount was staggering. He realized he needed to take control of his finances before things got worse. Chapter 3. A plan takes shape. Determined to turn things around, John began researching ways to manage his debt. He learned about different budgeting techniques and discovered the importance of creating a debt repayment plan. John decided to start with the avalanche method. He focused on paying off the credit card with the highest interest rate first, while making minimum payments on the others. It wasn't easy. He had to cut back on dining out, cancel some subscriptions, and stick to a strict budget. But he was committed. As the months went by, John saw his debt start to decrease. The satisfaction of seeing his balance shrink gave him the motivation to keep going. He was making progress, but he knew he needed to explore more options to speed up the process. Chapter 4. The Power of Consolidation. One day, John received an offer in the mail for a balance transfer credit card with a 0% interest rate for 12 months. This seemed like a great opportunity to consolidate his debt and save on interest. John did some research to understand the pros and cons. He decided to go for it. By transferring his high-interest balances to the new card, he could focus on paying down the principal without worrying about interest for the next year. It was a risky move, but John knew it was his best chance to make significant progress. With his debt now consolidated, John felt a sense of relief. His payments were simpler, and he was saving money on interest. But he remained cautious, knowing that the promotional interest rate wouldn't last forever. Chapter 5. Negotiating with Creditors. As John continued to chip away at his debt, he realized that he might be able to negotiate better terms with his creditors. He decided to give it a try. John picked up the phone and called his credit card company. He explained his situation honestly, emphasizing that he was committed to paying off his debt, but needed a little help. To his surprise, the representative agreed to lower his interest rate. It wasn't a huge reduction, but every little bit helped. Buoyed by this success, John reached out to his other creditors. Not every call was successful, but the small victories added up. Lower interest rates meant that more of his payments were going towards the principal, and his debt was shrinking faster than ever. Chapter 6. Avoiding the Traps. John was making great progress, but he knew that staying out of debt would require discipline. He had learned from his mistakes and was determined not to fall back into old habits. One weekend, while shopping online, John found himself tempted by a flash sale. The old John might have reached for his credit card without a second thought. But this time, he paused. He remembered how far he'd come and decided against the purchase. It was a small victory, but it reinforced his commitment to responsible spending. John also set up a system to monitor his credit card usage. He reviewed his statements regularly, looking for any unauthorized charges or mistakes. This habit helped him stay in control and avoid the traps that had caught him in the past. Chapter 7. Planning for the future. As John's debt dwindled, he began thinking about the future. He didn't want to just get out of debt. He wanted to build a solid financial foundation. He started by creating an emergency fund. It wasn't easy to put money aside while still paying off debt, but John knew it was essential. An emergency fund would prevent him from relying on credit cards in the future. John also began to focus on improving his credit score. He paid his bills on time, kept his credit utilization low, and made sure to check his credit report regularly. His efforts paid off, and his credit score began to climb. With his debt nearly gone and his financial habits in check, John started to explore investment options. He knew that building wealth would be the key to long-term financial security. John met with a financial advisor who helped him create a plan for investing in his future. Conclusion: John's new beginning. After years of hard work, John finally made his last credit card payment. The relief and pride he felt were overwhelming. He had taken control of his financial life and was now debt-free. But John's journey didn't end there. He continued to practice the habits that had helped him get out of debt. He maintained his budget, added to his emergency fund, and invested in his future. John had learned that managing credit card debt wasn't just about paying off balances. It was about changing his relationship with money. John's story is a testament to the power of perseverance and the importance of financial literacy. His journey from debt to financial freedom is one that anyone can follow. It's not easy, but with the right strategies and mindset, it's possible.